Festival Internacional de Cine de Guadalajara.
Número 34.
Exactamente. Y bueno, ahora estamos con el director de cine, Matts Grorud. Él es un chico noruego que es animador y director y viene aquí al festival a presentar su película The Tower.
O la torre.
O la torre, ajá, que fue presentada en el Festival de Annecy del año pasado, que es el festival más importante en el mundo sobre animación. Y bueno, él ha trabajado desde los 19 años como animador y estudió en la Universidad Americana en Beirut, mientras trabajaba como profesor de inglés y animación en el campamento de refugiados de el-Barnarch. Y se basó en los testimonios de todos los refugiados y sus experiencias, y así fue como escribió el guión de The Tower. Bueno, aquí vamos a cambiar a inglés, a inglés para poder entrevistar a Matts.
Y porque tampoco hablamos noruego, entonces
No,
es
no
como...
hablamos noruego. We are explaining that.
Yeah,
we don't speak Norwegian.
So we have to do it in English.
It's okay.
So we have to speak
Yeah, I was going to say that I know skål. That's the only thing I know. Skål is salud.
Skål is salud.
So skål.
Good.
Skål.
My first ever word in Norwegian.
Yeah.
Skål. Okay, good. Okay, so let's begin with questions. We were investigating about you, Matts.
Yeah, you-
And I see that this story it's the journey of a girl. Her name is Wardi.
Wardi, right?
Wardi.
Wardi.
Now.
A Palestinian 11-year-old girl. She's the fourth generation that is living in this refugee camp in Palestine, and this girl is she you? You know the experiences that you had when you were working with the refugees, and all the stories and experiences that you heard.
Yeah.
Did you put them into this character? How was the creation process, that you were working with all these people and then you started to figure out that this was a movie?
And adding to that a little bit, I was reading also that your
It's
mother...
2 questions, huh?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
2 questions, but
Questions.
it's related. I mean, pretty much, I read that your mother worked as a nurse, as a refugee, and I think that's how you got into that work. So I wanted also to understand how that plays, especially because being with a nurse, I mean, as you saw like very bad things. I mean, the refugee as a whole is like horrible, but you went like
A
more
difficult
horrible,
place.
you know?
Yes.
You know what I mean? A little bit. So I wanted to understand also how that your mother role played into the movie and to this whole story.
So the first question. Am I Wardi? So if I'm the small girl, somehow it's me, yes, because I'm the guy. I was living in the camp for 1 year, and I wanted to understand what it was like to live in the camp, and I wanted to understand what it was like to grow up like my friends. They grew up in the 80s in Lebanon during the war. So somehow she takes you around, and she shows you throughout the film her family, and she's the key to the different stories from the past. But on the other, so somehow she's me, but on the other, she's also not me, because somehow she's innocence in the film. She's the contrast to kind of the grown-up, everything that we as grown-ups do, horrible things as war, and she's somehow the blank sheet of paper that's innocence, and that's not me.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right somehow. Yeah. Second question
And there was
was
a second
About like
question.
your mom and the nurse.
that was the third
Yeah.
question, because you had 2.
Oh, you had 2.
And I have 2 questions. Well, I see that it's a recurring motive in the film, that the hope,
Yeah. Okay.
the theme of hope, and
Okay.
how can someone and a family and a whole group of people can survive and thrive in this terrible situation that you were cast out of your home, and how do you keep your integrity and your identity as a nation, and above all the hope that sometime you will be able to go back to where you
Yeah. It's so. Which question first? My mom or the hope?
your mom, please.
Okay. No, so when I was young, my mom was working in. So I was living in Norway, and my mom was working in Lebanon
Okay.
as a nurse
Right.
during the war.
Wow.
And then she would come back. She would stay 3 months or 6 months, and she would show pictures to me and my brother and sister.
Right.
What it was like to be living in the camp. So I would see pictures of kids my own age, but just living in a kind of what Syria looks like today.
Right.
And I think as a young boy this affected me a lot. So I mean the stories from the camps grew with me as I was living in kind of safety in Norway, but seeing this other part of the world. Then we went to live in Cairo when I was 12. And we went to Jerusalem, to Gaza. So I mean, and this was just after the first Intifada, which was in 87, 88. So I mean, at that time also you had all these kids running around, showing V signs and. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I've read about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm 18.
Yeah.
I'm not, but yeah, I've read about that. Actually, I was very interested because this whole Palestina thing is I find it very interesting in a weird way, I guess.
In Norway, so in the film it's a generational story, but also in Europe, and I guess in many places around the world, it's also the solidarity with the Palestinians is also a generational thing. So I mean, my mom was in the solidarity movement, and she worked in Lebanon in the camps. I grew up with this and invest my time and my heart into this as well, and perhaps my kids will too. We'll see.
And I think you can really see that you put your heart in it, because when I first saw the trailer and the granddad Sidi, was it right? Gives the key. I was like, this is so I mean, I think it really strikes you. I guess you can tell that there's real feelings there.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
At least from what I've seen, I think it does.
Yeah.
And the theme of hope. I was very concerned about that because like the political landscape in a country like Mexico, it is not really the best. Still, there are persons and human beings around us that are having a harder time than us, and that gives us perspective and conscience about our privilege. And I think that the tower makes a very good point in showing all this to the rest of the world, and see how the spirit of all these people, how do you endure, and how do you keep hope alive.
I think for the Palestinians in the camps, because it's now 71 years, they've been living as refugees in this quite horrible situation. It's 8 million Palestinian refugees around the world. In Chile, you have a big Palestinian community, for example. I don't know about Mexico.
I don't think so, but here, what we do have in Mexico, it's a big Lebanese community.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the hope of return in the camp, because this hope is something that's quite far away at the moment, because you don't have the power to do anything about it, not really, but it's part of who you are as your identity as a Palestinian, that you have this right as a human being, as a Palestinian, that you come from somewhere, and I mean people have the keys to their houses, the papers, everything. So I think it's a human thing that you need something that keeps you standing straight, and then identity is a big part of that. If it's as a woman, or if it's as your nationality, or I mean you can fill your identity with different things. But so that's one thing. But I wanted to show in the film that hope is about many things. I mean you can have small hopes. I mean dreams come in very different forms.
Right.
And but it's not like people are superhuman just because they are poor and refugees. It's not like they manage. People are depressed, and it's from day to day as well. They're not living in a cartoon world.
Yes,
so,
of course.
Right.
And I think that's I don't know Mexico that well, but I guess people in poverty or in a difficult situation, I think, or anybody. I mean, even if you're privileged, I mean, you try to find reasons to, that life is
it's worth living.
Is worth living, yeah.
Yes, I think human
forms.
spirit has a huge capacity to endure.
And I think, so I hope the film, even if it's just, it's a Palestinian story, that as you say, it touches you
Yeah.
to see the transmission of story from a grandfather or great grandfather to, this small girl, and that is something human and not just a Palestinian thing.
Yes, it's universal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's,
Yeah, and I think also, now that you mention it, it struck me. My grandfather passed away like 3 months ago, and we started recounting all of these stories back from the day he was like from a village and like very poor guy. But we were talking and we were laughing about all of his stories. And now that you were mentioning it, it just struck me how another part of the human being is to persist, right? To live beyond our life, right? To continue living. And I think maybe that's a little bit of that on that film. Like,
that's what I hope to put. That was my intention.
yeah, I think it translates. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's something when it's. I lived in the camp for a year, and I grew up with kind of the stories from the camp. So as a filmmaker, it's also hard because you want to kind of tell everything that you experience. So you want to show so many things.
And how do you?
That's a difficult part to kind of focus.
Right.
Yeah. This,
And about the visual style, I see that the tower it's an animation feature, but it has stop motion animation techniques and also 2D animation techniques. How did you came up with that idea, or how did you decide which scenes would be made in stop motion animation and which ones would be made in 2D animation?
The stop motion is for all the scenes that are in present. So everything that's reality today is in stop motion, and I'm a stop motion animator myself.
Oh, okay.
So to me, the reality, the tactility, that you feel,
the thing that you can
even the
touch.
expressions,
Yes,
right?
yes.
you feel it and you see it, and it's
That is
also
the
in the
present.
Yeah, that's the present, and it's also in the style of
Animation.
that it's not too. It's not rough, but it's quite rough.
Yes.
That you can see kind of the hands that have made it.
No, yeah.
That's nice for me also to. So that's real.
Yes.
The flashbacks are done in 2D.
2D.
Animation film is such a long project, and it takes a long time that you always have to try to find, what's the most practical way to do this? And for the flash, really, it's because it's a feature film. Is so
No,
expensive.
definitely. Yeah.
So you find ways. So in the beginning, it was a practical choice. How do we show the camp, Beirut, different scenes? I mean, it's impossible to build. It's not impossible, but it would take a lot of time and
money.
And we needed a lot of characters. So we thought, we draw it, and that solves it.
How long did the animation
Yeah, I was
process
gonna ask
took?
that.
Because we had here in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
We had a legendary animator. His name was Rigo Mora. In fact, the prize for the best short film animation it is named after him.
Okay.
And this guy used to say that making stop motion animation was like watching the grass grow. Yes, and I am a visual artist myself. I am not an animator, but I have friends who do animation.
Yeah.
And like for example, I have a friend that she has done short films, and it takes years for her to do a short film. That's why I am asking you, how long did it take to make this feature film? The tower is 80 minutes long.
Yeah. Well, in the big, I animated myself, and I normally did shorts, and a short would take us about 3 years maybe to make. So the idea to make a feature was like crazy.
Daunting, yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning we started with let's make 20 minutes. Okay, that's
Manageable.
doable, and then it kind of grew, and we got a bigger budget. But in the end, so we still the budget is quite small for a feature animation film. But so the animation took 7-8 months. Yeah.
Okay.
So not too long. It's
Wow, yeah.
yeah, it's quite fast. We animated 3 to 5 seconds a day per animator. So
It was quite
fast, and the whole project's about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. So
Still, it makes sense to what we.
Still it's quite some
Yeah,
time.
there was like
Yes.
a stop motion or animators forum that we went on last Saturday, and
Saturday,
I was
yes.
telling these guys like, it's amazing to me that it's 8 years to do a project. It's like a child. I mean, I was like, wow. I'm an engineer, so to me
Yeah.
things are like a process, and you just go and that's it, right? And just get. I was like, how can you bear 8 years? And it's like a kid, I guess. I don't know.
Is that the question to me? How do you bear 8 years?
Yeah, that's a question to you.
And how do you sustain an idea for 8 years? Like,
Yeah,
for
how do you
example,
not say-
you start with this idea, and what if you change your mind at the 4th year or the 5th year, and no, I want to change this or that. How do you manage to do that? Because I know that in stop motion you have this previous step that is the animatic.
Yeah.
That's the word in English. The animatic. It's like a storyboard in motion.
Yeah.
Right.
And René Castillo, he's a animator from Guadalajara. He said that animation is the only art form in which you can see the final product before you actually
see the
make it.
final- yeah.
And if the animatic doesn't work, then the movie won't work.
Yeah.
How do you keep in the air an idea for 8 years? You know, and
To me, it's what you know you're gonna work on something for a very long time. So it's first of all it's important to have a subject for your film, or the idea for the film, or the theme of what you're doing. That's for me that's important to me. So when I choose a subject, this is my first feature, but in all my films I make films about something that is really important.
really important.
And I guess that's same for everybody. But
That's like your anchor, I guess, in a way.
but I guess in life I hope that that people you're going to be stuck with something for a long
Right.
time, girlfriend or whatever. It's smart to make
that's
a good choice
That's true. Yeah.
about. So that's the how to sustain for a long time. That's the first thing, but. For me, it was really, it's a teamwork process, which means that it's one thing is to sustain or to keep the idea, but as important is to make it grow
Yes.
by letting others in,
Okay.
and so that it's not just your baby, but everybody's baby. And then the project grows, and that means in the 8 years you're making it, the film becomes something else, and so it's not the same thing it was in the beginning.
In the beginning.
But to me, this was quite easy, as I thought. The core of what I wanted to tell, it was stories about people I knew, and so I was not so afraid to let different people in, and kind of that it would change or
Got it.
go in different directions, because I the soul of the project was there, and so I was never. It was very easy for me to see what changes, fucked up my main idea, and which ones were kind of okay. That's nice. It takes it.
I can take it.
Yeah. So it wasn't. But that's the way to sustain for a long time.
Okay.
That to let it grow. Yeah.
And have you showed this? I'm guessing yes, but
camp.
the camp. Like, what were the reactions? Or have you
It's not
done
shown
it?
in the camp.
It's
yet.
not shown in the camp yet. Are you planning on it?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay.
Oh yes, I read.
Yes.
I read that you
Yeah, we
were.
googled you a lot.
No. I read that you are in the early stages of your next project, which is you correct me if I am wrong. I read that it is a story about the impact in the 90s of the pollution that was created by gas companies like Beverage, Shell, and other oil companies on the delta of Mozambique.
Niger Delta. Nigeria.
Nigeria
Nigeria,
delta. Yes.
Not since the 90s, since the 50s.
Since the 50s. Yes, and about how people made a resistance and protected their lands and fought for it, and which leads me to the next question, which do you consider your work political? Because a lot of people would think so, no? Like Matts is doing,
Yeah,
this
that is like going to the uncomfortable political.
raising uncomfortable political questions,
Right.
Which are really necessary right now.
Well, yeah, I don't have a problem. I think in Norway it was a long time when I was in my 20s, and which if you were doing art, and it was like also political art, it was like, wow, that's not really art because you're just making propaganda. So there was this division you know, art was just supposed to be art for art's sake. It wasn't supposed to have like to have a function. So I guess this was like a back, because in the 70s with the in the leftist movement, that art always
Yes.
had to have like
The
you know,
political
the
edge.
political edge.
Edge.
So I think the the reaction to that was that art was not supposed to have anything to do with anything except being art for art's sake. But for me, I'm a child of the left, so I don't.
For you,
And
it's
I
natural.
haven't revolted
Like,
against.
I don't care.
So I'm not.
Cheers.
I'm very happy if I read literature that moves me and at the same time makes me think
Yes.
and act politically.
act.
So I don't. I think that art, of course, can be art for art's sake, but I enjoy making art that's beautiful, nice, and that's intellectually
appealing and
or
moving.
challenging
Yes.
and asking questions. And if it moves people in a way that they do something with something I care about, that's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And well, here in Juego de Pomos, we here in the festival, we were focusing on on the subject of women directors and women in film and in animation.
Yeah.
And we would like to know which women animators do you admire, or do you consider are doing great stuff in Norway or worldwide?
Okay, I was going to say in the beginning of the interview, don't ask me any names because I'm very bad with names.
I am like you. When I am
very
interviewed,
bad.
I am like.
Yeah.
But you do.
Okay, so I will start from who I know.
Uh-huh.
So on my film, Her Fang Wei, I was the assistant director. Chinese, living in France. Her Fang Wei. She has
Okay.
does beautiful shorts.
Uh-huh.
From school, I will continue. So
Yeah, okay.
my first short film was with my friend. Her name's Kaya Polmar. She died young of cancer, but we did a great short film together. And she's, she was a great, and she still is a great inspiration for me. When I think things are difficult to say, and you kind of like keep your mouth shut,
Yes.
because she never did. She always raised her voice and was never afraid to say, fuck you if something was wrong. So
We need more women like her.
Kaya Polmar, yeah. In Norway, we have lots of great female directors. Yeah, Kajsa Næss, she has her new film coming. Anita Killi, she did Angry Man. In fact, yeah. So, I mean, in Norway, we got lots and lots of female directors and animators. In France, the team I worked with was 50-50, so lots of great female directors and animators. Because, and I see here in Mexico also, like Carla.
Like Carla
Yeah.
and Rita.
Yeah, I haven't met Rita, but so I see
Those
you
are
have
really
great,
cool.
great,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Sure.
one thing that is I think is worth noting, and that's I guess a little bit where the question was coming from, is you said that in Norway and in France it was like a 50-50 or more parity, and I think there were some statistics, right, that you mentioned, where in
yes.
Mexico at
I
least
have
it's
a-
a very different landscape.
I have several journalists, friends here in Guadalajara, female journalists, and one of them this morning published the numbers of this festival, and the number of male directors exceeded 200, 200, and the female director was like 60, just 60. You know?
260.
Yes. Yes, so it's
1/4.
yes.
No.
In Mexico we still have that huge gender gap problem. But well, let's go back to the tower.
But
Your
on
work.
gender, I was, because we've shown the film a lot in Middle East,
Uh-huh.
and in Palestine they did a research about gender and female directors in
Right.
documentaries, and it's a lot more women than men
men?
directors.
You know, you have you seen
So
Cafarnaum?
that's Middle East.
Yes, this
Cafarnaum?
Nadine
No, I
Lavaki.
haven't
Oh,
seen
you
it.
have to watch it. It's so moving and beautiful and political also. Yes, and pro-choice.
Yeah.
Yes, Bailarin Lavaki, yes.
It's on my to-do list.
Lebanese director.
Yes, I know.
Yes. And where can people watch the tower? Right here? Is there a platform where people can pay to watch it
No.
or no, not yet?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Just in movie festivals.
Just in festivals at the moment. It's in France. If people live in France, it's in the cinemas. It's in the regular cinemas in France.
Right.
But my dream. No, because we have a French version, Arabic version, Norwegian version, and English version.
Right.
But we don't have a Spanish version. And I would love for the film to be dubbed into
In
Spanish.
That would be amazing.
Because the film, it's so I wrote it as an adult film, but it works from 9 years and up.
Oh wow.
And I hope and I think that the film in Latin America would have a,
Yes, I think
big
it would
audience,
have
yeah.
a huge audience.
I think we can relate with that. I mean, there's a lot of people that can relate.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course,
So
absolutely.
So I hope somebody picks up the film and we'll make a Spanish dub and we'll distribute the film.
Okay, we will keep you posted en Juego de Pomos. Les avisaremos cuando La Torre tenga un doblaje al español y sea disponible abiertamente para toda la audiencia de hispanoparlante. Pues de todos modos pueden ver el tráiler en Vimeo.
Sí, van a llorar.
Busquen el tráiler en Vimeo, el tráiler es bellísimo. Y bueno, hasta ahorita es con lo que nos tenemos que conformar, a no ser que lo sigan trayendo a más festivales en México y sigan trayendo a Matts también. Okay. So, then we can close the interview. Is it nice, the Pacifico?
Did you like it?
Did you like it?
Yep. It's nice. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Norwegian response. This means great. It's like, yeah, it's good.
Okay.
That means really good.
Yeah, that's
good?
like wow.
Okay, because we're really loud here.
Yes, but
We're
I mean,
loud.
Mexicans are loud, and then Diana and I are like loud.
extra
They're-
loud.
Yeah,
Like
they're on the on the loudest side of the
Yes.
scale. Yeah.
But we
Especially with
thank you-
alcohol.
We thank you a lot for your
For
time,
your time,
for
yeah.
your disposition, for your kindness and your openness about your project, about your next project. And we congratulate you for being here and for your beautiful, beautiful film.
And
Thanks.
hopefully we can see you here next year, so you can tell us more
Yes, of course.
about the next things,
The
or
next
maybe
project,
you
yeah.
bring,
Yes.
or you bring the tower again, so we can
We can
tell
rewatch
people
it.
and rewatch it and all of that. Yeah.
You know what? If we get a Spanish dub and it will have a cinema release in
Okay,
Mexico,
of
that
course.
would be nice.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Yes, we have to be there. Absolutely. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so
Porque lo vieron
Cheers.
primero.
Cheers.
Guapo. Skål.
Cheers.
Skål.
Okay.
And in Mexican?
Salud.
Salud. Salud.
Salud.
Salud. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Por haber visto
Seguimos.
este Juego de Pomos en la Festival Internacional de Cine de Guadalajara. Hasta
O
luego.
Pixel 34.
Bye.